Hello, Bay Ridge. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. This Sunday, we concluded our series that we were calling Rooted on how to build a flourishing Christian life. And we looked at the importance of us reaching the world. And I spoke about a number of different ways, but I wanted to take a minute to focus in specifically on missions at BRCC. Missions is something that's very important, but when people come in and they hear us praying for our missionaries and see different things, they may not be fully aware of all the ways that we're engaged and involved in missions and how we do that. So I want to take a few minutes just to describe that. It's important for us when we say reaching the world, as we saw on Sunday, that includes both individually but also together. And it includes us beginning locally but reaching out internationally. And all of that is part of how missions are done at BRCC, how we engage in missions. There are several things that are important for us to know. First off, how does BRCC support missions financially? And this includes some local mission stuff, but predominantly things around the world. And these are things outside of our own congregation. Well, the first thing that we do is that 14.5% of every dollar that is given, unrestricted giving, that comes to BRCC goes out to missions. Now, what do we mean by that? Unrestricted giving is any money that is given not specified for something. So if somebody gives to specifically say, I want to help pay for this thing, they want to donate to help cover the cost of the youth going and doing something, for example, then we have to give 100% of that to that. But the majority of money that comes into BRCC is unrestricted. It's just given to the church. 14.5% of that goes out to missions right off the top. When I first was asked to become a pastor at our congregation many years ago, that was the very first thing that we did. The church couldn't afford to pay me at the time, but what we decided to do was go ahead and start giving to missions work. I felt like that was important. It was something God had given me a burning desire to do, and we started it at 10%. And we did it as a percentage because we said then as the church grew and as our budget grew, so would our giving. At that time, our entire budget was probably only $70,000 or $75,000 or something, or less than that. Now we give almost that much to missions some years. So it's grown naturally with that. We give 14.5% of everything to missions work as it comes in because we grew that during the years. But we also sometimes take up special love offerings when a missionary comes and visits. And when we take up a love offering for a missionary, whether they're with us or we sometimes have just done it for special things, like years ago, we took up a love offering to help people that ISIS was persecuting in Iraq. When we do that, 100% of that money goes out. We don't keep any of it. It just all goes out towards the mission. Thirdly, sometimes people in the church want to just give to a specific thing. They came into some extra money, they were blessed in a business deal, or they just feel like the Lord's directing and they want to give it directly to a missionary. When that comes in, 100% of that goes out. So it's not unusual at the end of the year that actually 16 to 17% of our income ends up going out to missions. This is enabling us to help reach the world, and that includes the farthest corners of the globe. So it's really, really important to understand that we are committed financially to helping reach the world. We may not be able to go to some of these places. We may not be able to be there directly, but we can partner with people who are there. So that's one great way that we are involved in missions at BRCC. A second thing that is equally important is prayer for God's mission around the world at BRCC. If you've been around the church for very long, you notice that each month we highlight what we call a missionary of the month. We take one of these missions groups that we are supporting financially and we take time to pray for them. And oftentimes during that month, 2 or 3 Sundays during a month, we will pray specifically for that missionary and the country that they are laboring in, the people that they're working among. And we also encourage people to pray for that missionary every single day. I want to encourage you both to pray when we're praying during the meeting. It's not a time to think about or do something else. God hears our prayers when we join together, and we can be involved in seeing God's global cause come to fruition as we join together in prayer. But also pray for it every day. Linda and I, as we just thank God for our food at dinner, we pretty much every day pray for the missionary that we are supporting that month, just asking God to reach out and work in and through them. And you can find out always who the missionary of the month is. We give links in the Bridge email. You can also go to the missions page of the website and see all of our missionaries. Find out more about an individual missionary and how you might be able to pray for them. So prayer is a critical thing. I want to encourage you to be engaged in prayer. Part of why I was so passionate about missions when I first became pastor of our congregation was because when I was stationed in Okinawa, Linda and I were running into all kinds of folks living there in Japan that knew nothing of the gospel. And it opened up my eyes to the need for that. And then thankfully, the pastor that I had at that time, a man named Dave Druding, Dave gave me a book called Operation World, where you go through and every day you would pray for different countries and people groups and all this. It utterly changed my life, and that began in prayer. I encourage you to join in praying for our missions. The third thing to understand about our missions is it includes a great variety. We have both local and international missions. If you walk into our lobby, you may notice the first two things that visitors notice. If you watch them when they come in, what they tend to look at is they see the big map of the world in front of them with the red streamers going out from our location to all these different places in the world. And one of the other things they notice very quickly is that beautiful mural we have that's of downtown Annapolis. Now, those are both beautiful pieces of artwork, but much more than that, they describe how we are on mission. We have the docks up there because we have been planted in Annapolis. We are called to be on mission locally. And then we have that map of the world because that's where we're supporting missions around the world because we are called to be engaged globally. So how do we do that? Well, we have local missions, both that we support financially every month and also that we sometimes are engaged and working with to be down there and support. We support the local jail ministry. We support the chaplain. We also have folks who are doing Bible studies at the jail. And if you are interested in doing that, if you drop a note some Sunday and let us know that, we can put you in touch with the folks who are down there doing jail ministry every week. We also have Lighthouse Shelter where there are folks down there serving, and we're going to be beginning again to serve at the Lighthouse Shelter, as I mentioned on Sunday, and it's a great way to be engaged and involved. We support the work of the navigators at the Naval Academy, and you could get involved there in reaching and working with midshipmen. And then we support another local ministry called Estuary. That is part of some of the prayer stuff we're doing as a church, but you could be engaged and learn there. We are engaged here locally. I encourage you to pray for the ministry locally and be looking for ways to reach out and share the gospel with your neighbors and serve as we are trying to reach here locally. But we are also engaged very heavily around the world, international missions. And in particular, we have a focus on what's known as the 1040 window. If you look at the missions page on the website, we'll describe that a little bit. It's an imaginary window that runs from the 10th to the 40th parallel and across, basically, it's northern Africa and all the way into southern Asia and across. And we support many different missions groups that are working there in the 1040 window. Groups that are working in places like India, Indonesia, Iran, and China, where we can't go. Some of them are closed countries, but we have contacts and ways to get support to people who are doing things inside, and we are able to do that. But there's also other areas where we are working in Central and South America, in areas in Europe as well. There's a great variety, and that's one of the other things that's been purposeful in our church. There are many wonderful ways you can be involved in supporting God's global cause, and we've tried to have a wide variety of them. We've got church planning, support for the persecuted church, medical missions work, supporting those who've been rescued out of the sex slave trade, people who are reaching post-Christian areas in Europe like in Croatia and also down in Italy. All of these are important works, and maybe the Lord's stirring a particular one in your heart. Well, it's a great way for you to engage in prayer. You could contact many of these missionaries, get on their mailing list, get specific things, and really labor there. You could pray for all of our missionaries, but maybe there's one that God's really going to lay on your heart. And then we're even going to be looking for chances to do short-term mission trips coming up. So all of these are ways that we're engaged in reaching out both locally and around the globe. I want to encourage you, find a way to be involved. Melissa mentioned on a recent Sunday a saying that I used to say in our church a lot, and we're kind of brushing it off, that it's really, really important. I'm kind of taking this from a man named John Piper, but there's really only three things you can be as a Christian. You can be a radical goer, one who is going to reach the nations. You can be a radical sender, one who is radically invested both financially, in prayer, in supporting God's global mission cause. Or you can be radically disobedient, because there is no place for a bench warmer. God is calling all of us in mission, and what a privilege it is for us to be engaged like this. If you've ever wondered what it would have been like to say, I gave money to the Apostle Paul, or our church was supporting Paul, well, you have a great way to do that very type of thing right now. That's what we're doing in our missions work here at BRCC, and it's imperative for all of us to do it. If you want to have a vital, flourishing Christian life, you do need to love our God, you need to connect with others, you need to serve, but you also need to be engaged in reaching the world. It's only when we're going out and spreading like that that we experience the fullness of the abundant life that Christ wants to give us. Hope this is encouraging, informative, and helpful. I look forward to us gathering again this Sunday for worship. One great way to reach the world is invite a friend to come with you. Come early, grab a cup of coffee, let them get to meet some people, then worship and stay together to fellowship with your brothers and sisters. Have a great week. God bless.